Good evening, and welcome to More Moments with Jesus, and another reading from the book of Enoch. So far, we've read up to chapter 16, and I'm going to continue on from 16 tonight. I believe it was 16. But if I've already read it, you just reread it. You can reread this quite a few times, and it would probably do you a lot of good. Of course, a lot of people will tell you that this isn't scriptural and you shouldn't read it, but Enoch is mentioned in Genesis and also in the New Testament in the epistles of Jude. And so he was a scriptural person. Therefore, I feel his writings should be scriptural. And also, it was his request to his son that these readings be read to generation after generation. Okay? And we know that he's with God. He's God's righteous person. So, these are good words to listen to and to let God open your ears and eyes to information, if it be his will. And I'd go with that. Okay, so we're going to start at chapter 16. And these aren't in like verses in the Bible, but it just said number 1. And as to the death of the giants, those were in like chapter 6 of Genesis, where the fallen angels mixed with women of men, had babies, and giants were born. Okay? And as to the death of the giants, wheresoever their spirits depart from their bodies, let their flesh, that which is perishable, be without judgment. Thus they shall perish until the day of the great consummation of the great world. A destruction shall take place of the watchers and the impious. Number 2, now to the watchers who had sent thee to pray for them, who in the beginning were in heaven. Okay, so these fallen angels were in heaven. They were called the watchers. Number 3, say, in heaven you have been secret things. Okay, number 3, say, in heaven have you been secret things, however, have not been manifested to you, yet have you known a retrobated mystery. Number 4, and this you have related to women in the hardness of your hearts. By that mystery have women and mankind multiplied evils upon the earth. 5, say to them, he's talking to Enoch, who is carrying the prayers of these fallen angels to God to ask for forgiveness. Say to them, never therefore shall you obtain peace. Okay? We go on to the next chapter 17. Number 1. They raised me up into a certain place where there was the appearance of a burning fire. And when they pleased, they assumed the likeness of men. And it says Enoch, they've taken him up to a certain place. Okay? And when they pleased, they assumed the likeness of men. So the angels took on the appearance of men. They carried me to a lofty spot, to a mountain, the top of which reached to heaven. And I beheld the receptacles of light and of the thunder at the extremities of the place where it was deepest. There was a bow of fire and arrows in their quiver, a sword of fire, and every species of lightning. Number 4. Then they elevated me to a babbling stream and to a fire in the west, which received all the settings of the sun. I came to a river of fire, which flowed like water, and emptied itself into the great sea westwards. Number 5. I saw every large river until I arrived at the great darkness. I went to where all the flesh migrate, and I beheld the mountain of the gloom, which constitutes winter, and place from which issues the waters of every abyss. 6. I saw also the mouths of all the rivers in the world, and the mouths of the deep. Chapter 18. Number 1. I then surveyed the receptacles of all the whole creation, and to preserve the foundation of the earth. Number 2. I surveyed the stone which supports the corners of the earth. This is interesting stuff, because what we see is not reality. It's what God created for us to live in, but it's not the reality of His creation. But part of it, because He created. Number 3, I also beheld the 4 winds which bear up the earth and the firmament of heaven. Wow. Because in Revelation it says the angels will hold back the 4 winds on the last day. Number 4, and I beheld the winds occupying the exalted sky. Number 5, arising in the midst of heaven and of earth, and constituting the pillars of heaven. 6, I saw the winds which turned the sky, which caused the orb of the sun and of all the stars to set. And over the earth I saw the winds which support the clouds. Number 7, I saw the path of the angels. Number 8, I perceived at the extremity of the earth the firmament of heaven above it, and I passed on towards the south. Number 9, where burnt both by day and night 6 mountains formed of glorious stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. Number 10, those which were towards the east were of a variegated stone, one of which was marganite, and another of antimony. Those toward the south were of red stone. A middle one reached to heaven like the throne of God, a throne composed of alabaster, the top of which was of sapphire. I saw too a blazing fire hanging over all the mountains. Number 11. And there I saw a place on the other side of an extended territory where watches were collected. 12. I likewise beheld terrestrial fountains deep in the fiery columns of heaven. 13. And in the columns of heaven I beheld fires which descended without number, but neither on high nor into the deep. Over these fountains also I perceived a place which had neither the firmament of heaven above it, nor the solid ground underneath it. Neither was there water above it, nor anything on wing, but the spot was desolate. 14. And there I beheld 7 stars, like great blazing mountains, and like spirits entreated me. 15. Then the angel said, this place, until the consummation of heaven and earth, will be the prison of the stars and the hosts of heaven. 16. stars which roll over fire are those which transgressed the commandment of God before their time arrived, for they came not in their proper season. Therefore he was offended with them and bound them until the period of consummation of their crimes in the secret
Drop this
year.
again? You singing?
No, not tonight. I'm reading from a book called Enoch.
You gonna sing to where?
Now I got a cold.
Oh.
I got some laryngitis, so I got to take off a few days.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It'll be nice for my friend. But it's too late. I hope you feel better.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night.
And you too.
Chapter 19, number 1. Then Uriel, that's one of the angels, said, "Hear the angels who cohabitated with women, appointed their leaders." Number 2, and being numerous in appearance, made men profane and caused them to err, so that they sacrificed to devils as to gods. For in the great day there shall be a judgment with which they shall be judged until they are consumed, and their wives also shall be judged, who led astray the angels of heaven, that they might salute them. Number 3, and I, Enoch, I alone saw the likeness of the end of all time, all things, nor did any human being see it as I saw it. Chapter 20. These are the names of the angels who watch. Okay, they're called the watchers. Number 2, Uriel, one of the holy angels who presides over clamor and terror. Number 3, Raphael, one of the holy angels who presides over the spirits of men. Number 4, Raguel, one of the holy angels who inflict punishment on the world and the luminaries. 5, Michael, one of the holy angels who presiding over human virtue commands the nations. 6, Sarakiel, one of the holy angels who presides over the spirits of the children of men that transgress. 7, Gabriel, one of the holy angels who presides over Ikasat, over paradise, and over the cherub. Chapter 21. Then I made a circuit to a place in which nothing was completed. 2, and there I beheld neither the tremendous workmanship of an exalted heaven, nor an established earth, but a desolate spot prepared and terrific. 3, there too I beheld 7 stars of heaven, bounded together like great mountains and like a blazing fire. I exclaimed, for what species of crime have they been bound, and why have they been removed to this place? That was his question. And Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, and who conducted me, answered, Enoch, wherefore dost thou ask? Wherefore reason with thyself, and anxiously inquire? These are those of the stars which have transgressed the commandment of the Most High God, and are here bound until the infinite number of the days of their crimes be completed. Number 4, from thence I afterward passed on to another terrific place. Number 5, where I beheld operation of a great fire blazing and glittering, in the midst of which there was a division. Columns of fire struggled together to the end of the abyss, and deep was their descent. But neither its measurement nor magnitude was I able to discover. Neither could I perceive its origin. Then I exclaimed, how terrible is this place, and how difficult to explore. Number 6, Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, Enoch, why art thou alarmed and amazed at this terrific place, at the sight of this place of suffering? This, he said, is the prison of the angels, and here they are kept forever. Chapter 22. Number 1. From thence I proceeded to another spot where I saw on the west a great and lofty mountain, a strong rock, and 4 delightful places. Number 2. Internally it was deep, capacious, and very smooth as if it had been rolled over. It was both deep and dark to behold. Number 3. Then Raphael, one of the holy angels who were with me, answered and said, these are the delightful places where the spirits and the souls of the dead will be collected. For them were they formed, and here will be collected all the souls of the sons of men. These places in which, number 4, these places in which they dwell shall they occupy until the day of judgment and until their appointed period. 5. Their appointed period will be long, even until the great judgment. And I saw the spirits of the sons of men who were dead, and their voices reached to heaven while they were accusing. Number 6. Then I inquired of Raphael, an angel who was with me, and said, whose spirit is that, the voice of which reaches to heaven and accuses? Number 7. He answers, saying, this is the spirit of Abel, who was slain by Cain, his brother, and who will accuse that brother until his seed be destroyed from the face of the earth. Number 8. Until his seed perish from the seed of the human race. Number 9. At that time, therefore, I inquired respecting him, respecting the general judgment, saying, why is one separated from another? He answered, 3 separations have been made between the spirits of the dead, and thus have the spirits of the righteous been separated. 10, namely, by a chasm, by water, by light above it. 11, and in the same way likewise are sinners separated when they die, and are buried in the earth, judgment not overtaking them in their lifetime. 12. Here their souls are separated. Moreover, abundant is their suffering until the time of the great judgment. The castigation and the torment of those who externally execrate, whose souls are punished and bound there forever. 13. And thus has it been from the beginning of the world. Thus has there existed a separation between the souls of those who utter complaints and of those who watch for their destruction, to slaughter them in the day of sinners. 14. A receptacle of this sort has been formed for the souls of unrighteous men and of sinners, of those who have completed crime and associated with the impious whom they resemble. The souls shall not be annihilated in the day of judgment, neither shall they arise from this place. And I blessed God. 15. And said, Blessed be my Lord, the Lord of glory, and of righteousness, who reigns over all forever and forever. And that takes us up to 23. So this is, I'm going to stop right now because this is another, it's about 20 minutes long. And so this is a little bit more of the book of Enoch. And this was taken, I believe, this is my own, I'd have to really research this, but I believe this was in the Apocryphy. I talked to my sister, she said it was in the Catholic Bible at one time and it was taken out. And it's not taught in any of the Christian churches that I know of. Although it does say, I think in the introduction, there is a place somewhere where they do teach this. Which, since Enoch is mentioned as being taken by God, and also in the Epistle that they give his lineage from the time of Adam. So he is, I mean, he's mentioned in scriptures. So some people say that this book, you know, is scriptural because it can't be proven. Well, I don't think much of the Bible can be actually proven. It has to be believed by faith and trust and hope in our God, the Father, and his Son, and the Holy Ghost. But doesn't mean we shouldn't read the writings, especially Enoch, I would think would be very important, because as we go on through this, and my friend that I read with this, we are already up, way up in this book. It's about 180 pages long. And right now, I'm only on page, I'll be reading, the next page will be 30 to 31. So we've got a lot of pages, there'll be a lot of segments. But I'm trying to keep them, you know, so it doesn't go on too long. But it's interesting. You can go online and look it up. Book of Enoch, they have audio. You can sit there and listen to someone read it, like I'm reading it. And if God wants you to understand something about it, he'll open your ears and open your eyes. And that's our prayer to him. Excuse me, our prayer to him. Sorry for my voice. I have a very bad head cold, and I usually play music out on the weekends, and I'm going to miss the whole weekend. But thank you, Jesus, because that's the way it was supposed to be. All things are under God's control, and so it's okay. As a saying in a book I used to read, and I still read from, all is well. Doesn't matter. This is the flesh world that we live in. There is a spirit world. They are separate. Most people live in the flesh world. They get taught about God and Jesus and this information, not this particular information, but you know, things in the Old Testament and the prophets and the New Testament. But they don't, that's all they're doing, is they're teaching them about it. And when you believe it and live with the Lord's Spirit, because he is right here with me, I know that. I've been blessed to know that. Not worthy of it, but for his good purpose, he chose that, and that's okay. Because it's what I have to do. And if you haven't had experience with His Spirit, then that's still okay. You should study the Bible. You should learn. But not only just study it and learn about the Bible, but actually put everything that you hear in the Bible, especially stuff written and read, which is the words of Jesus Himself. You should put that into practice in your life every day. I know it's hard. It's hard for me. I'm sure it's going to be hard for everybody else. But that's what we all really need to do. So look, thanks for spending some moments with Jesus in the book of Enoch. We'll continue on. This will be, I think, done 3 or 4. This will be the 5th one, I think, or something like that. That's okay. We'll just keep going on. We're up to chapter, see, I'll be reading 23 next time. Getting better at my Roman numerals, too. That's good. Although I get up there so far, I'll be lost. So anyway, you have a great day, and I wish everyone a wonderful Christmas season, the birth of Jesus. The world celebrates it this month. No one really knows the day He was born. We celebrate it on December 25th, which is a good thing. His birthday should be celebrated. It should be all about Him. As in our earthly life, we make everybody's birthday about them. Well, that's what we should do about Jesus' birthday.